We used two of the most advanced AI models to create two characters. We will put them face to face. Their arguments will be evaluated by 5 independent AI models across multiple criteria, scored from 0 to 100. This is AI Debates. Do gun bans reduce deaths from homicide, suicide, and accidents?
Gun bans do not reliably reduce deaths from homicide, suicide, or accidents. In practice, criminals still obtain firearms through black markets, so homicide rates often remain high despite strict bans as seen in countries and cities with heavy restrictions. Suicides, sadly, are driven more by mental health issues than by the availability of guns when firearms are restricted. Many simply turn to other methods, leaving overall suicide rates largely unchanged. As for accidents, education and safe storage, not bans, are the proven solutions. In the U.S., accidental firearm deaths are already rare and continue to decline thanks to training and safety campaigns, not prohibition. Gun bans often disarm the law-abiding while leaving criminals and determined individuals unaffected, failing to solve root causes of violence. Real reductions in deaths come from addressing crime, mental health, and safety education, not from stripping citizens of a constitutional right that empowers self-defense.
Yes, gun bans dramatically reduce deaths across all 3 categories: homicide, suicide, and accidents. The evidence is overwhelming and consistent across different countries and time periods. Homicide. Countries implementing strict gun controls saw 35 to 50% reductions in homicide rates. Australia's gun buyback correlated with a 35 to 50% decline in homicide. International comparisons show gun-controlled countries have murder rates 5 to 50 times lower than the US. Suicide. This shows the strongest effect: gun availability increases suicide risk 3 to 5-fold. Firearms make impulsive suicide attempts more lethal, 85% fatality rate versus 2% for pills. Countries restricting guns see substantial suicide reductions, particularly among youth. Accidents. Gun bans eliminate the 500 annual accidental shooting deaths in the US. Open carry increases accident risks through handling, showing weapons to others, and children accessing displayed firearms. The mechanism is straightforward. Guns turn conflicts, impulses, and mistakes deadly. Domestic arguments become homicides, depression episodes become completed suicides, and handling errors become fatal accidents. Method restriction works because people don't simply substitute. They either don't act on impulses, suicide, or use less lethal alternatives, other weapons. Gun bans save lives across all death categories.
Are statistical comparisons with other countries reliable for you? S. Policy?
Statistical comparisons with other countries are often misleading and unreliable for U.S. policy. America has a unique history, culture, and constitutional framework that make direct comparisons problematic. Many countries with strict gun laws also have very different demographics, population densities, crime patterns, and social safety nets, all of which heavily influence violence rates independent of firearm access. For example, comparing the U.S. Two small, homogeneous nations ignores the scale and diversity of America. Even within the U.S., states and cities with higher lawful gun ownership often experience lower violent crime, suggesting that culture and enforcement matter more than bans. Using foreign statistics to justify U.S. restrictions overlooks the reality that the Second Amendment is a deeply rooted constitutional guarantee, not just a policy choice. Instead of cherry-picking global numbers, American policy should focus on local realities, strengthening enforcement, education, and responsible ownership to address violence effectively.
Yes, international comparisons are highly reliable for U.S. policy because they provide the only real-world evidence of what comprehensive gun restrictions achieve. While countries differ culturally, the statistical patterns are too consistent and dramatic to dismiss. Australia provides the most relevant comparison: similar frontier culture, individualistic values, and hunting traditions, yet their gun buyback produced lasting reductions in violence. Their cultural similarities to America make this particularly compelling evidence. The scale of differences is too large for cultural factors alone to explain. When gun-controlled countries have murder rates 10 to 50 times lower than the US, culture cannot account for such massive gaps. If culture were determinative, we'd expect much smaller variations. Multiple countries implementing restrictions: UK, Australia, Canada, Japan, all achieved similar results despite different cultures, proving the policy effects are robust across contexts. Critics claiming America is different rarely specify what makes Americans uniquely unable to benefit from policies that work everywhere else. This exceptionalism prevents evidence-based policymaking. U.S. states with stricter gun laws already show patterns similar to international examples: lower death rates where guns are better controlled. This suggests American cultural factors don't override the basic relationship between gun availability and violence.
Does access to guns correlate with higher or lower crime rates?
Access to guns does not automatically correlate with higher crime rates in many cases. It correlates with lower ones. States and communities with higher levels of lawful gun ownership often see reduced violent crime, particularly burglaries and assaults, because criminals know their targets may be armed. Defensive gun uses, which occur hundreds of thousands of times per year in the U.S., prevent crimes without making headlines, masking the deterrent effect in public statistics. Conversely, areas with strict gun restrictions, like some major cities, often struggle with persistently high crime driven by illegal firearms. The key factor is not the mere presence of guns, but who has them: law-abiding citizens or criminals. When responsible people are armed, crime is deterred. When only criminals are armed, violence rises. So while opponents claim access fuels crime, the evidence shows that empowering lawful citizens to carry arms helps reduce, not increase, criminal activity.
Access to guns strongly correlates with higher crime rates, particularly violent crime. This relationship is one of the most robust findings in criminology research, consistent across multiple studies, timeframes, and methodologies. States with higher gun ownership rates consistently show higher homicide rates, even controlling for poverty, education, urbanization, and other factors. The correlation is particularly strong for domestic violence. Gun access increases intimate partner homicide risk by 500%. International data reinforces this pattern dramatically. Countries with strict gun access have vastly lower violent crime rates. Japan 0.2 homicides per 100K, UK 1.2 versus US 6.2. These aren't small differences attributable to culture. They're massive gaps explained primarily by weapon availability. The mechanism is clear. Guns don't create criminal intent, but they make criminal acts more lethal. Domestic disputes become murders, robbery attempts become killings, and gang conflicts become mass casualties when guns are readily available. Even property crime shows this pattern. Burglars in high-gun areas are more likely to carry weapons and use violence, knowing victims might be armed. The more guns, less crime hypothesis has been repeatedly debunked. Access to guns correlates with more crime, more deaths, and less safety.
Are mental health solutions more effective than gun bans?
Yes, mental health solutions are far more effective than gun bans. Violence and suicide are often rooted in untreated mental illness, despair, or behavioral crises, not simply in the presence of firearms. A ban does nothing to address these underlying causes. It only removes tools from law-abiding citizens while leaving determined individuals to find other means of harm. By investing in early intervention, counseling, community support, and better reporting systems for those who pose genuine risks, society can prevent tragedies before they occur. Even mass shooters often exhibit clear warning signs that go unnoticed or unaddressed. Addressing mental health directly reduces both gun-related and non-gun-related violence, making communities safer overall. Gun bans treat the symptom, not the disease. Mental health solutions tackle the root problems, preserving freedom while providing real, long-term improvements in safety and well-being.
Mental health and gun restrictions must work together, but gun bans are more immediately effective at preventing deaths, while mental health solutions address root causes long-term. Mental health improvements alone are insufficient because most gun violence isn't committed by people with diagnosable mental illness. The vast majority of homicides, domestic violence, and even suicides involve people without severe mental health conditions. They involve normal people in crisis moments made deadly by gun access. Countries with similar mental health resources but strict gun laws achieve dramatically lower violence rates than the US. Proving gun access is the key variable. Japan and several European nations have higher suicide attempt rates but lower completion rates due to method restriction. Mental health solutions take years or decades to show population-level effects. Gun restrictions show immediate results. Australia's buyback produced measurable improvements within months. The most effective approach combines both. Restrict lethal means while improving mental health resources. This prevents immediate deaths while addressing underlying causes. Gun restrictions buy time for mental health interventions to work. Method restriction is especially crucial for suicide. Most attempts are impulsive, and gun availability turns treatable mental health crises into permanent tragedies. Better mental health care plus gun restrictions saves far more lives than either approach alone.
How significant is the impact of illegal firearms in debates about bans?
The impact of illegal firearms is hugely significant in debates about bans because they expose the flaw in the argument that restrictions will stop violence. Most gun crimes are committed with weapons obtained illegally, whether through theft, black markets, or straw purchases. A ban doesn't eliminate these channels, it strengthens them, as seen in places where black market trade thrives despite strict laws. Meanwhile, bans mainly disarm law-abiding citizens who follow the rules, leaving them defenseless against those who don't. Ignoring the prevalence of illegal firearms oversimplifies the issue and punishes the wrong group. Any serious policy must address trafficking, enforcement, and criminal networks, not restrict responsible ownership. Without tackling the illegal supply, bans are ineffective at reducing crime and instead erode the rights of people who are not the problem. The prevalence of illegal guns proves bans target symptoms, not the real source of violence.
Illegal firearms strengthen the case for gun bans rather than weaken it, because most illegal guns start as legal purchases and enter criminal markets through theft, straw purchases, and private sales loopholes that open carry makes worse. The criminals don't follow laws argument ignores how criminals actually obtain weapons. FBI data shows most crime guns were originally purchased legally, then diverted through predictable channels. Open carry increases this pipeline by creating theft opportunities and normalizing weapon presence. Countries that restricted legal access saw dramatic reductions in both legal and illegal gun violence. Australia's buyback didn't just affect legal owners, it reduced criminal gun use because fewer weapons were available to steal or divert. When legal supply shrinks, illegal supply follows. Market economic supply. Restricting legal sales increases illegal gun prices and reduces availability. Studies show strong correlations between legal gun density and illegal gun availability in the same regions. The alternative, accepting widespread legal carry because some illegal guns exist, is like abandoning drunk driving laws because some people drive without licenses. Effective policy addresses both legal and illegal aspects simultaneously. Gun bans work precisely because they reduce the total gun supply, making weapons harder for everyone, including criminals, to obtain.